Welcome. It is another Human First AI Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Montague at Avenue 9. Find us at avenue9.com. My guest this week is Erich Archer, TV producer. I should say Emmy-winning producer at CGA Creative, and CGAcreative.com is the website. We're going to talk to Erich about AI video and creativity. Erich, I'm super excited to dive into this. Video is not one of my strong suits. It never has been. I don't know why. I've been able to do every other kind of creative pursuits, but I think it's too many lighting settings and takes for me. It takes too long. But how is this changing? And do you feel like it's getting easier or harder for humans to make good videos?
Well, that's a good question. Easier, I guess, is the short answer. But it's sort of still such a different product that you're not really saying it's easier to do the exact same thing. It's like a version of, but
Yeah.
you can't ignore that it's easier to produce an image.
Yeah, it's an easier
That
to make an 8-second stock video footage for a background or a little B-roll. I don't know
right,
if it's
right.
easier or harder. It's probably harder to make a full-length feature film than ever, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's still extremely difficult to make something 15 seconds and watchable with AI. I mean, we're at the beginning stages of this, despite what the hype would have you believe that
Yeah,
you
did
can
you
just.
see the major hype with Google's new VO
I did, yeah. I've
that
been in
video
it for
launch
about a week
recently?
now and trying it out and everything, and so I can speak to the hype versus the reality for sure. There's no question it's a powerful tool with some real advances, but it's still such a fist fight to
Yeah,
get
let's talk
a
about
reliable
reality
output.
then. As we sit here in the middle of 2025, what does AI video really mean? Is it sort of the way I see it is what I talked about? I guess there's a lot of different features, but I think you can get a really good stock video footage or create something interesting. And then I suppose if you're an artist and you got all year, you could string together multiple 6-second scenes to create something interesting and take forever to do that. There's also some AI avatars and ways to make people speak different languages or to maybe have a character re-say something they didn't say in a video or deep fakes and other use cases that might be interesting for marketers or filmmakers. But again, it feels like maybe it is that struggle to get it to actually look real still. Is that accurate, or have you seen any other cool use cases or ways that you're using it now?
Yeah, I think we're all trying to figure out what the real use cases are, and they're still very limited, especially if you're trying to do it in a professional capacity, because the more specific the expectation, the harder it is to accomplish right now. So having to explain to clients that it's a different thing. It's not a one-to-one replacement of video production as we're accustomed to. It's a different thing. It's like a notebook and pen versus a laptop. Like they're both super useful, but they're different. And I think people need to realize, and they will realize, that it's different. It's not a one-to-one replacement. I mean, in some cases you can more easily get a B-roll shot, like you said. But I think there's still lots of good reason to use cameras and do it the traditional way, and humans to get the human emotion and things. And then there are other great reasons to use AI to tell stories that were previously impossible to tell, or outside of your resources or
Yeah.
location or whatever. So um, it's all people just trying to figure out where it applies and where it breaks down and stuff.
Where I found the easiest way to get started for me has been in editing. I found the video editing tools to be
Hmm.
phenomenal. I mean, things that used to take hours and hours of just jump cuts to cut out ums and ahs and silences are now done in a few seconds. I mean,
Yeah.
that's crazy. What have you been doing on the editing side of things?
There's a lot of stuff, and it kind of keeps rolling out. Like the remix tool was one of the early things in Adobe Premiere to help us cut music, because prior to that, you were trying to cut music to the time of the video, and that could be really difficult. and change the creative of a piece, when you do that too. So there's that stuff. There's, text-based editing, like you said. You can now, oftentimes, like if you went out and shot an interview, you'd come back and you'd try to cut that interview together, and you might wish the interviewee said something just a little bit differently. You could now more quickly, way more quickly than like reshooting that or even re-recording the audio from afar. Uh, you could just throw their voice and make a voice model and fix it, like have them generate the line you wanted in their voice, and no one
Yeah.
would, and you can move right on if you're okay with that kind of thing.
Well,
But
if it's a creative pursuit and you're the writer and director,
sure, yeah,
sure, right? If it's a documentary style interview,
yeah, right,
maybe not so
right,
much. But I think that
right.
brings up ethical questions and stuff that people are going to have to wrestle with for the foreseeable future. I mean, not even talking about the ethics of how these things are done, but yeah, I mean, we're seeing all kinds of things. We can reanimate dead people and have them come back
Yeah,
to life in future
yeah.
episodes to make people say things they didn't, and the deep fakes to like use it, create things that have never been possible before. I think the accessibility thing is one of the real cool ways to do a remix is like, hey, we need a Spanish language version of this video. It's done in a couple of seconds.
Hmm.
Depending on how good you want those dubs, or it's in their voice and tone now instead of
Yeah.
just having another actor come in and read the same thing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, those things are incredible. Accessibility, absolutely. Like, and accessibility to the tools too. You don't have to, I had to move to New York and LA to have access to some of this stuff years ago, and now you don't. And so that's exciting too for the individual creator out there who just wants to have a shot at making money doing production work, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so
Uh,
it's exciting, it's very different. I find it very exciting, but it's very disruptive, obviously.
well, that's the other question that I had for you. I think as the humans, when we look in the career, all these disruptions kind of I guess change the jobs a lot. So I worry about young people being able to get entry level jobs if all the editing, heavy lift jobs are now done by AI. You don't get that practice of. I spent most of my time in audio, and I started in radio, which is why I stink at video. But I can edit some audio, and I can clip, and I'll spend all day, leveling and doing all kinds of cool processing and effects there. But I had to take days, to learn how to do that. Or sometimes like you want a really cool project, spend hours lining those things up. And now
Hmm.
it's one click. I don't need an intern, or I don't need a young person
Yeah.
to do that. But I also see the role of producers becoming interesting. Like I think it gives directors, creators, and producers more options of things to do. Sometimes that can cause paralysis or other things. But then you see it also gives amateurs more options. And so there's always that tool of like, oh, well, I don't need to hire somebody that's 10 grand a minute of finished video if I can just go ask AI to do this, or if I can edit it myself. How do you see the industry of video production shaking out here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of sort of under the radar changes because I know so many people in the industry. So people I've worked with over the years, that am still in touch with, that are, longtime professionals are leaving the industry because they don't really see their path, or they don't like what they see, or they're exhausted by the fire hose of new stuff, or it's causing quite the existential crisis for a number of people, specifically in certain roles. Like if you're a director of photography, your world is changing
Yeah.
dramatically. And how are you going to deal with that? If you're a, up and coming small business video producer, what does it mean for you? Um, and it's been interesting. Like some people I thought would really take to the new technology are really opposed to it. And then it's giving opportunities to a whole group of newcomers that previously never had any access. And I think that's cool and exciting, you know. I'm so familiar with all the barriers that, like, to think that it might be easier for the next kid up uh who wants to make movies is cool.
Yeah, I see that too. I kind of put these discussions in a few buckets. I was young when the internet was coming out. It feels like we're about the same age by the amount of gray in the goatee.
44. I'm 44.
I'm 45. Yeah. So, like, it was a huge advantage to me that the older producers and stuff didn't need to or didn't want to learn these tools. I could learn them years before they became industry standards and have a good head start or get opportunities that other people weren't going to get if they knew the tool.
Right.
So I leaned into those. I think there is an age factor. If you're, 3 to 5 years away from the end of your career, maybe you just say, I'm done early, or I'll do this as long as it takes, but I'm not learning the new tools. I think if you're our age or younger, you're going to have to figure out where this goes. Unless you're
Yeah.
financially independent, you're going to have to learn the tool. So then that comes to like the philosophical debate. And I think those are kind of silly. I think anybody that's saying, I'm not going to use AI because I don't believe in it, or I'm worried about an existential threat, or, there's, any type of philosophical or moral stand. I get those arguments, but that's also kind of saying like, I'm not going to use the telephone, or I'm not going to use the internet for my production. Like I'm still going to shoot on film, and those people still do. And there's use cases for that, but also like you're going to lose that battle, right? I think you can kind of only hold
Yeah.
out so
Yeah.
long, or I believe there'll always be a case for people like there are people still shooting on 8mm, right? Yeah, I think that'll still happen, and there'll still be people that do cool stuff, but I wouldn't want a commercial production company built
Yeah.
around that. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really thought about the film to digital analogy, but I think it's pretty good. I mean, I experienced that, and of course, people are still shooting film, and it's beautiful, but it's expensive, and
Yeah,
that's why no, you know, it's just that's why only the companies with resources are doing it now. But there's all this other great content that's being made, so I think that's probably what will start happening with like human made stuff. It'll be coming a little more nichey, or the traditionally produced stuff, I should say, not the human made, but like, with cameras and all of that.
yeah,
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of gear. Like there's a reason why we have a minimum day rate for any shoot. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, I don't care what you're shooting, block the day, you know?
Yeah, well, I think they're I for sure, and I think that all just means that these are style choices and stuff. And so, we saw already this year Super Bowl commercials that were 100% made with AI, or the opening, roll
Hmm.
to that Google event being completely generated with AI. And you could tell that it clearly was in some ways that were great. There was like, oh, this would be impossible to do even with CGI. And then there are things where you're like, oh, that was clearly AI. That leg just disappeared when when they walked, kind of moment. And you're like, all right, that's a choice too. I'm interested for you. You have a cool framework. One of the reasons I want to have you on here is sort of the smarty pants idea here of like using AI for research, strategy, analysis, editing, communications, creative. There's a lot of ways we can use these tools. And I think you're probably better positioned to help us sort these out. If you were going to rank them from sort of most helpful to least helpful, how do you put these things into buckets?
Well, the LLM, uh, picking your LLM is the first thing. Are you a Chat GPT, Claude, Perplexity? Perplexity Labs just came out. It's pretty interesting. I love Chat GPT. I think it's the core of it all, and I was giving it a ChatGPT 101 the other day, and I was like, oh my God, there are so many features in here. There's operator, Sora, task, scheduled tasks, custom GPTs, custom instructions, like deep research, all these different things. I mean, and it's only going to become more and more of a connected ecosystem, so that your conversation that leads to Dolly will lead to Sora and just become a natural verbal prompting of video soon. And you can really see the way that they're starting to, well, anyway, I'm going down the production road, but picking your LLM, I would go with ChatGPT. The tool that I've used the most in the generative media space is Midjourney.
Mm.
I like both the Discord and the browser version for different reasons, but I've used that tool consistently for a couple of years, and a lot of other tools have changed depending on their competition. After those two, I tend to be very disloyal to anyone. Like whoever's just producing the best stuff is where I'm going to jump. But I'll use Flora, I'll use Leonardo, Runway. I think Kling 2.1 is the best video generator right now.
Mm.
VO3 is powerful. Their audio is really incredible that they now just do generative audio right along with the video clip. That's
Yeah,
incredible.
background sounds or sound effects and stuff design. I was also going to
Yeah.
say we haven't mentioned Suno yet, but being able to make theme
Hmm.
songs or opening
Oh
or
yeah.
background music in just
Suno,
a few
Udio,
minutes,
11 Labs. 11 Labs is
royal,
unbelievable.
yeah,
You would,
royalty free and stuff on those things too. It's huge. I'm sure you've been around long enough to
I
know
know.
you got to pay for some of these songs. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, all these things just make it go so much faster, cheaper. It's like production and post-production have merged into this one thing, and you're kind of like
Mm.
creating and editing all at once. Okay, I need my next clip. I need to go make it. It's kind of an
That's a
interesting
cool way to
new,
think about it.
yeah.
Yeah. I've also found that people, I think they think too binary, like it's humans or AI, or it's AI or no AI in this project. And it's really a wide spectrum. There's a ton of cool tools,
Mhm.
like we said, an editing tool like Descript or something for an interview is super easy to use. And if you don't need music, then you're not putting Suno on your list. And so,
Yep.
unfortunately, I think we will get more ecosystems too. I agree with what you said there. But right now, you got to kind of subscribe or find all of these tools. But there's
Yeah.
really no excuse to not make
Yeah.
something or to get stuck at some point, because you can just
Yeah.
go find a tool that will do that.
Yeah, if you like the aggregators, I love Free Pick. Free Pick with a K. You
Yeah.
can try a lot of different models in there. Runway has a lot of tools within it for different things, lip syncing and different, all kinds of different cool stuff in there. So yeah, I mean, it's very project specific. Like whatever I'm working on determines what tools I go and research and learn and use.
I
Um,
think if you're not using AI for research and script writing and stuff like that, I think you're costing yourself a ton of time.
There's no question. I mean, these are super tools in those areas: research, planning, analysis, processing. Like,
Brainstorming,
yeah,
huge. I mean,
yeah,
you should never run out of ideas, right?
no,
Give me 30 ideas for how I could shoot this scene
yeah,
from different directions and explain what it is.
100%.
And like you just keep going. Like those don't work. Give
Yeah,
me 10 more. Give me 25 more. It
right.
doesn't matter. And I think that's where I'm finding the most fun being a creative is just trying those things and having an assistant that will do the work super fast and not complain if I ask them to redo it 30 more times. I mean, that's pretty cool.
It's amazing. It really is amazing. I mean, I feel very empowered by it all as an individual creator because I can go idea to output all by myself,
Yeah.
and the range of ideas is expanded in a very unlimited kind of way. It's pretty thrilling, to be honest, that I can just wake up and do whatever I want. You know?
And I think the good news is, much like digital photography and cell phone cameras, is that we're going to see the amount of video go way up.
Hmm.
So that can bring with it positives and negatives. What do you think the positives are going forward with just more people being able to make video and make better video?
Well, I would think that there is, um, people could consume more if there was more, and I would think that the quality will go way up for like the for everything. So the crappy stuff will get better, and the good stuff will get way better.
Yeah.
And there'll be more voices, which is a great thing. Um, And yeah, I mean, so that's I guess my answer. I
Yeah,
think the quality goes up, and people will have to people have more choices, and at a certain point we can only consume so much. So then
I
it's
think we're
merit
getting
based,
there. I think we're creating more video on things, platforms like YouTube and stuff that
Yeah,
any one person could
right.
consume for sure. And really, when you look at the number of streaming services and everything else too, there's just more shows than you can watch, yeah, on time in the day coming out, which is going to create some other challenges, but it also creates, I think, opportunities for people that can do cool stuff. So I want to ask you one more kind of positive question about like creative things you're seeing people do with it, because I'm seeing in the near future, I think you could have choose your own ending movies that are like generated on the fly, or you could personalize a movie where you
Hmm.
could put this character in the city, or use your names, or use your profile that you're logged into Netflix and know, oh, this person likes this and this show. Like I can change my story to match stuff that they like, or even just using AI to create fantastical scenes that have never been able to be made before. And I think we're going to see some really creative people do mind blowing stuff in the next couple of years that you
Yeah,
just, like we did with CGI and Star Trek and Star Wars and stuff. Like you're going to see things be possible that were never possible before. That's
yeah,
going to be really
100%.
fun.
I've
So,
started to see some of those things. I mean, there's some people putting out some early work that is really remarkable. I saw one that was a deep fake spoof that was incredible. I think it was all VO3, and it was like, oh no, you know what it was? It was all influencers from the Bible. So it
oh,
was, you got to look for it. It's a brilliantly done thing. Like, uh, Mary and Noah and all these characters from the Bible are like, you're watching them and they're in their environment. They're saying snarky things. It's like, it's very fun. They're being influencers. It's
we've
amazing.
already starting to see like the Mona Lisa come alive and talk and move, or other
Hmm.
thing. Like I can see art installations and other video
Yeah.
things like being really cool, or like we said, being able to talk to really cool AI
Yeah.
avatars of people. But outside of that, you got me thinking of with the deep fake things. Like I think creative people will play on that and combine fake with real stuff.
Yeah.
And we've kind of already seen that with Harrison Ford playing himself as younger actors, and same thing with Mark Hamill, and being able to do some
Hmm.
really cool storytelling. If we can make Luke Skywalker young again, or older, make younger characters older, there's a ton of cool things that we could do with different
Yeah.
actors before, but now all of a sudden it's a different take when you're seeing
Yeah.
that real actor, or other, um, just creative ideas. Have you
Yeah.
seen any other examples of what you can do with AI that maybe people aren't aware of yet?
Yeah, well, a couple of my projects. I did a Ken Burns style documentary using generative AI about my great 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 grandfather. So I got to like learn about him, and I made a custom GPT with everything I learned about him and kind of simulated interview, and I used that
Cool.
exchange as the voiceover. Um, so that was really interesting. And then I made another one about the very first artists in Indonesia 40,000 years ago, put the handprints on the cave wall that are still there. And I imagined their story in first person. So you go on like a little 2-minute walkabout with that human, like just spending a couple months with that idea, and generating thousands of images to create this world, and bring in my references of art, like artists that I like that I wanted to infuse in, or
Hmm.
uh, go and learn a lot about the area and the time and the people, and bring in those learnings. And so it's a very educational, creative experience. And at the end, you can tell a story that, there's no way I could fly to Indonesia or do it in a green screen set or get actors and props and scenes and VFX and all of that. I mean, forget it, impossible. And here I am getting to make a little short film this way about that subject matter. So, and it was all based on my children's textbook that I just saw one day and was inspired by. They were learning about the first artists,
Yeah.
you know. So
I
it's
think that's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
There's some really, really cool opportunities there. And the other one is mass amounts of data. You kind of talked about creating resources and aggregating stuff, but I can see where documentary filmmakers, they were doing a lot of work for years to edit all
Hmm.
these hundreds or thousands of hours of footage and
Hmm.
nature documentaries. You wonder like how they even find a shot or tell a story. Like
Oh yeah.
is impossible. But now if you can have AI analyze it, like all the quantity of information becomes a lot easier and make
Hmm.
some of those stories. I'm glad you said that, a lot more possible, because how could you go through whatever security cam footage for some place for, you could even do it up to like a decade if you had archives of a decade of footage and find different stories or cool moments and say, hey, find a moment when this happened or when this
Yeah.
happened and
And
start
then write
piecing
it
it
up for
together.
me and generate the images
Yeah.
and then
Would have cost
generate the
millions of
videos.
dollars before.
Yeah. It's a just that use case alone of like looking back at your personal histories and making short films from them because you
Yeah.
can. You know the stories, you might have some imagery like I did, had a few pictures, some like research my dad did. And so it's like, all right, here's this creative brief, and now Midjourney can make it look cinematic and real and gorgeous, like, and I know how to make a video. So
It's amazing. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But I want to ask you the hard question, which is if you project out like within our lifetimes, let's say like 30 years from now,
mm,
what do you think it is? Is it like Star Trek holodeck video where we're all experiencing 4D visualizations? Is it still flat screen stuff, some version of augmented virtual reality, or just all of the above? What do you think?
um,
Will we be able to tell the difference between real and fake footage?
I just genuinely don't know. I have
Yeah,
no idea, and I would be just wildly guessing
yeah.
at any of it.
What's your preference? What would you like to see before?
I hope it all becomes a public good. I hope that no one monopolizes it to the point that it is bad for people beyond the disruption of jobs and things that it's inevitably going to cause. I hope that it becomes unmonetizable by any one big company and more of a public good that benefits everybody. I hope that is ultimately what happens.
I love that. And I think if that happens, the rest of it will sort itself out. Like if there are fake and bad actors, there'll be more good actors than bad actors. And there'll be room for creative exploration and stuff like we've had up until this point, really, in history. Is
Yeah. Yeah.
when there's freedom, you get good stuff, you get bad stuff, and it sorts itself out. Things that
Right.
people spend hundreds of millions of dollars on in Hollywood tank and nobody ever watches, and or it never even gets released. And things that people spend $0 on in their own personal time can go viral and get hundreds of millions of views or make
Hmm.
millions of dollars. I hope that's still the case too. That's a
Me
cool
too. Yeah.
thought. All right, you can find Erich Archer, Eric with the CH on LinkedIn. Technically two CHs in Erich Archer. And you can go to cgacreative.com to find more information. But Eric, how can we help you or how can you help us?
Oh, thank you for the question. I'm just trying to get the word out about what I'm doing. I'm happy to talk to anyone who might want to produce some generative AI video work, or just start learning about it. I'm going to start offering a course. So if people want to check out my website, they'll be able to keep up on that. It'll just be like a under the hood inside the production AI production studio type of a thing. Come see what the latest hurdles and challenges and tools are because I'm always wrestling with them.
Cool. I'm looking forward to that. And I think there is, it's a team sport because there's so many tools and so much you can do with AI that it's impossible for any one person to know. So I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing what you've been doing on your side. And as far as Avenue 9 goes, if you need help capturing some of these stories, I love doing interviews like this one, but can interview your founder, your grandparent. I have a dream, Eric, of doing grandpods where I interview your grandparents and create a little story of about it, or your top salesperson, your best client, however it helps you in your marketing. I love doing that stuff. Or figuring out your AI strategy. I can help you sort through some of these tools, get them set up, or decide how you're going to go with your team and your business, especially on the marketing side. Go to avenue9.com. And until next time, good luck. Have fun, everybody.